What's up, guys, and welcome back to another Chelsea news video today on the channel. Sorry it's been a little while since I last uploaded. I've had a bit of shit going on, so I haven't really had time to make a video. However, I don't think I've missed much. All I've missed is pretty much Chelsea constantly being linked with strikers, and it's the same again today that I've got for you with a new one, a bit of a Euros hero so far, with everyone jumping on that Euros hype that happens every single international tournament. And I'm also going to discuss the Billy Gilmour situation, with him now looking like he'll miss the Euros and what I think his future will hold for us next year. So let's get into it. Now, the first story I've got for you guys is, yes, you guessed it, Chelsea being linked with another striker. I know Chelsea's been linked with just about everyone who can kick a ball up front this window, but Chelsea are apparently ready to join the race for Euros breakout star Alexander Isak. Now, some of you might know, but this guy's been on the scene since he was like 17. I think he was dubbed by Ibra as the next Ibra. Now, I know that phrase and those phrases like the next Messi and shit always get chucked around, but Alexander Isak is actually producing at the highest level for Real Sociedad this year. He seems to have come onto everyone's radar since he's put in a few great performances in the Euros so far for Sweden. He hasn't actually scored a goal, which is quite interesting considering the fact that Chelsea needs someone who can score goals. But he's just come off a season where he scored 17 goals for Real Sociedad in La Liga, which is 10 more than Jorginho, who is our top goal scorer in the league, which is pretty pathetic. Real Sociedad reportedly wants £60 million, and Chelsea see him as an alternative to Haaland, one of many, may I add. I think the £60 million that has been touted is probably a little on the high end. He's not that absolute prolific goal scorer that we know Haaland is. Obviously, you're paying for potential there, but you're also paying for similar potential, if not more, in Haaland. And I think we all know Chelsea are not in a position where we're able to take risks on strikers. We need whoever we sign to hit the ground running, as that's a huge hole in our team at the moment. And for me, I think Chelsea should put all their eggs in the Haaland basket. And if they're unable to complete that deal, I think they should just stick with what we've got so far, especially if it's going to cost £60 million. I think there's no need to risk that £60 million. Just save it and then use it next season to pay Haaland's release clause. I'm also not sure if that £60 million for Alexander Isak is his release clause. I know all Spanish clubs have to have a release clause, and I'm not entirely sure what his actually is. And he also reminds me a lot of a player we already have at the club, Tammy Abraham. I think he's 6'2 or 6'3, so he's a tall, lanky striker similar to Tammy. Obviously, technically, he's far superior to Tammy, and we saw that in the last game against Poland, where he absolutely shit on half their team and then was unlucky to have his shot saved by the keeper, which is something that Tammy doesn't have in his locker. But I think fans would have similar frustrations to those that they did with Tammy when he was in the starting 11. People were always critiquing him about not being able to use his height to his advantage, and Tammy and Isak are both similar in that fact that they're both tall, but neither of them are a traditional target man in that sense, and they both probably have a bit of filling out to do. And for me, I would just keep Tammy over Isak. I think there's not too much of a huge upgrade there, so I don't really see the point of going for Alexander Isak. And I think the most likely outcome is that he'll stay at Real Sociedad for another year, and then when Haaland does inevitably leave next year, he'll go back to Borussia Dortmund, because I'm pretty sure they have a £30-odd million buyback fee, and he'll go back there as the Haaland alternative. And I think a lot of these reports linking him with a move away are just your standard procedure at every big tournament, where journalists are just constantly reporting players who are having good performances to big teams. And teams do buy into this hype, as we've seen in the past with players like James Rodriguez. But for me, I definitely can't see this one happening. And I think if Chelsea are to go for any striker this year, it needs to be someone elite. It looks like the Harry Kane move is probably off. If he's going to go anywhere, it'll be abroad or to Man City. They've reportedly bid $100 million for him, plus a bunch of their players. And I think there's not much chance of that happening. The Lukaku deal also seems to be off the card. And I think if you can't get Haaland, you just stick with what we've got so far. Make it through another year. There's enough young attacking talent there that we can hope at the worst that someone steps up, whether that be Havertz or whether that be Werner refinding his shooting boots. But yeah, as I said, for me, it's all out for that absolute elite goal scorer that you know is going to hit the ground running, or you just stick and not take added risks based off Euros hype or just the chance of getting someone for a little bit cheaper than the $100+ million that it would cost us to get Haaland. Now, the second story I'm going to be talking about in today's video is the recent news that's just come out that Billy Gilmour has contracted COVID. and what I think the repercussions of this actually will be, because I think they will be deeper than him just missing a few games. Now, obviously, this will be a huge blow for Scotland. We saw just how good he was in that England game, picking up the man of the match, which I think now means he's picked up man of the match in his FA Cup full debut, Premier League full debut, Champions League full debut, and international full debut. Well, I guess, and Euros full debut, which is a pretty fucking mental stat if you ask me, and shows just how big a blow he will be to the Scotland team and to their chances of progressing to the round of 16. I think this is also hugely disappointing on a personal level for Gilmour, as these Euros were a great chance for him to make a case that he should be in Thomas Tuchel's plans for next year. I know it was planned that he was supposed to go out on loan in January last season, but then Thomas Tuchel came in and wanted to have a good look at all the players at the club. So him and Andrew didn't end up going out on loan. And I think both those players are at a real crossroads now at Chelsea. I think they either need guaranteed game time at the club, or they need to go out on loan in search of first-team football. And these Euros were a great opportunity for Gilmour to make his case that he should be staying at Chelsea and getting more consistent game time, which I think me and all Chelsea fans agree that he should. I mean, the man's only made 8 appearances in the Premier League in the last 2 years, which is 1 or 2 less than Willy Caballero, which is just fucking crazy. I think that's quite surprising. I know he did miss quite a large chunk through injury, but it seems like he's played a lot more games in his career than he has. And I know the way he plays has a bit to do with that. He's just so mature in the way he plays and how composed he is on the ball. And this Euros was a great opportunity for him to play at the highest level and show that he can do it consistently, which we all know he can do based off his performances in the past and in the game against England. And it now looks like that opportunity to prove himself and stake his claim that he should be starting at Chelsea next season appears to be over, and it looks like he's going to have to isolate for at least 10 days, and it doesn't look like Scotland are going to progress to the round of 16, despite being a lot better than I think a lot of people thought they would be, and Gilmour has obviously played a huge part in that, and I genuinely think this probably means he's going to be leaving on loan, as I think we can all agree he just needs to play, and he's currently not getting that game time at Chelsea. If we were to sell either Jorginho or Kovacic or one of our midfielders, then I think definitely stay with him. But I can't see that happening during this current climate. I don't think anyone's going to pay what Chelsea are asking for. There has been rumours that Kovacic will be included in a swap deal for Hakimi, but we've talked about it before. We know just how unlikely swap deals actually are. And I also just don't think Chelsea would be willing to offer last season's player of the year and a player of such importance to Inter Milan. And I think it's best for all parties that he does go out on loan next season to get that first team football and continue to develop into the player that we all know he can be. He's the obvious heir. I know heir in quotation marks, because some would argue, and I would probably argue as well, that he is on par with Jorginho or level with Jorginho at the moment. But he's the obvious long-term replacement for Jorginho at the club. And this news has also apparently meant that Mason Mount and Ben Chilwell also both have to self-isolate. So a bit of a blow for Chelsea there, as they were buoying it up after the game. I know a lot of people are thinking that it's not that big a deal, but we have seen with players like Kai Havertz that COVID can have a longer term effect on players and their performances on the pitch. So let's hope for both the personal sake and the footballing sake that Chilwell and Mason Mount both come back negative and Gilmour makes a speedy recovery and isn't affected in the long term, so he can get back to playing. And you never know, he might make an impact on Thomas Tuchel in pre-season and he might end up staying, and next year could be his breakout year. You never know. Now that's all I've got for you guys today. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to drop a like. If you're new around here, subscribe to stay up to date with new videos. I'll try to come out with a few more regular ones than I have over the past week, but as I said before, I've had shit pop up, so I haven't really had time, but I think I should be able to make a few more videos over the upcoming days. So subscribe to stay up to date with those, and I'll see you guys next time.